I've been delivering workshops since 2017 to help companies support the health and well-being of their employees to reduce their stress, improve their health, and provide vital information that helps employees to live life better. And in this video, I've decided to share content that companies pay big bucks for to support their employees. And in this video, I'm giving it away for free. And if you can sit tight and watch these 47 minutes, you'll gain access to free health and wellbeing resources to help your workplace to reduce stress and learn vital methods to help employees improve their wellbeing and reduce their stress. So let's get into it. What percentage of sick days do you think are due to stress, depression, and anxiety in the UK? Well, last year, 49% of working days lost were due to stress, depression, and anxiety. Now, this statistic could, in theory, be higher because many people don't admit that stress is the reason that they're taking time off work. Just think about yourself for a moment. Would it be easy for you to tell your colleagues, I'm not coming to work today because I'm stressed? Or would it be easier to just say you've got food poisoning? Or you're feeling a bit under the weather? So this statistic could, in theory, be higher. Now, on average, each person that takes off time due to stress, depression, or anxiety takes approximately 19 working days off work. Now, just think about your job role for a moment. If you had to take 19 unplanned working days off work, what kind of impact would that have on your team, on your colleagues, on your clients, on the business that you work for? I hope we can all agree this would not be good. 19 working days is just under 4 weeks. 4 weeks off work, 4 weeks unplanned off work because of stress. But don't worry, because we're going to look at simple and effective methods to reduce our stress and what stress is. So what is stress? Because to help reduce stress, we have to understand what stress is. Well, stress is a situation in life, is a situation when life's challenges and pressures exceed our perceived ability to cope. And as you can see there, perceived is highlighted in bold because it's all about our own perception. And what I mean by that is stress is not what happens to you. Stress is not what happens to you. And let me explain. What I find stressful might not be stressful to you. And what you find stressful might not be stressful to me. I deliver workshops in front of large groups of people. I do this as part of my job. This doesn't stress me out. It's something that I'm used to doing. It's something that I'm comfortable to do. But if I asked you to stand up in front of 50 people and deliver a presentation, would that stress you out? Possibly. Maybe, maybe not. But why is it that it doesn't stress me and it would stress you? Equally, if there was a pack of wild dogs running, barking, that would probably stress me out. But maybe if you're a dog lover, you might find that not a stressful situation. That might be an easy situation for you. So why is it that something can stress me out, but not stress you out? And that's because stress is all about our own perception. Stress is not what happens to you. Stress is how you think and how you feel about what happens to you. Stress is all about our own perceptions of stress. But of course, there are many reasons that we may be stressed, and we often share some of those reasons. Things that stress you out can also stress me out, and vice versa. So what are some of those things? Let me know in the comments. What are some of the things that stress you out about work? Perhaps it's being oversubscribed. Perhaps it's customers, perhaps it's a stock take, perhaps it's family, perhaps it's finances, perhaps it's relationships, societal pressures. There are so many reasons that we may be stressed, and sometimes we share some of those reasons to be stressed. Now, when you're stressed, do you perhaps adopt any negative habits that don't serve you well? What are some of the habits that you adopt when you're stressed? Perhaps you eat unhealthily. Well, there was a period of time in my life when I worked in a retail job. This was many years ago, probably about 9 years ago now, maybe slightly less. And it was very stressful dealing with customers complaining. I was selling running shoes in a retail store. Customers might come and complain. The queue might be long because we're busy. And this was quite a stressful job. And at the end of the day, after a long, stressful day, I would come home and scoff a packet of chocolate digestive biscuits. I would scoff them. And afterwards, I would feel horrible about it. I'd feel not good. But this was what I did to help me reduce my stress in that moment. But it wasn't a good long-term solution. Sure, I felt good for the first, while I was eating the biscuits. But afterwards, I often felt a bit sickly. And, this isn't a healthy method that I was doing. Now, of course, being that I deliver workshops on reducing stress and other things to do with well-being, I don't do that anymore. But we all often adopt habits. Perhaps some of you drink alcohol. Perhaps some of you smoke. Perhaps some of you binge watch TV. Perhaps some of you go on shopping sprees. Perhaps some of you procrastinate. I'm so stressed out. I've got so much to do, but I'm not going to do any of it. Procrastinating. So these are some of the habits that we adopt when we're stressed. And if any of these resonate with you, it's absolutely normal. It's absolutely normal for these to be some of the habits that we adopt when we're stressed. But we're going to look at positive habits to reduce our stress and how we can implement them easily in our life. So stay tuned for those, because as the session goes on, we're going to look at ways that we can implement positive, healthy habits to reduce our stress. So what effect can stress have on you? What effect can stress have on us? Perhaps it causes tight muscles, tension in our neck, upper back and shoulders. Perhaps it puts us in a bad mood. Maybe we take it out on others because we're so stressed. Perhaps it causes a change of appetite. Just like with me, it made me eat. It made me binge eat. But for some people, stress causes them not to eat. You don't eat when you're stressed. Perhaps it impacts our sleep. You spend all night up on your phone just browsing because you're so stressed. Perhaps it causes poor sleep. Well, we're going to look at two types of stress. So we've got our acute levels of stress, and this is our immediate response to a stressful event, otherwise known as the fight or flight survival instinct, or alternatively, the fight, flight, or freeze survival instinct. When we experience a stressful situation, perhaps we fight, perhaps we run away, or perhaps we freeze completely. And then we've got chronic levels of stress. And these are stressful events often suffered for a prolonged period of time. And we often perceive to have little or no control over these stressful events. But we're going to look at how we can control our stress. Because in theory, reducing our stress is easy. In theory, I have to caveat it. In theory, reducing our stress is easy. In reality, it's not so easy. But if we can understand the theory, we can work towards the reality of reducing our stress. So earlier on in the video, we learned that stress is not what happens to you. Stress is how you think and how you feel about what happens to you. So if we can change what we think and how we react to a situation and how we feel about a situation, we can reduce our stress. Of course, not easy. We're gonna look at ways to reduce that as the session goes on. We can be mindful of fearful, worried, and anxious thoughts. Think about the things that are stressing us and be mindful of those. We can choose to avoid situations that create stress for ourselves. Now, of course, we can't avoid every stressful situation. There are some stressful situations that we have to tackle head on. But there are some stressful situations that we can choose to not engage in. We can choose to avoid those stressful situations. And we can also do things that create peace for ourselves. Why not engage in activities that calm us down and reduce our stress and create peace for ourselves? And again, we're going to come onto that a bit later. So I mentioned avoidant coping. We can avoid stressful situations, but we must not be denying that there's a problem. If there's a genuine problem, we shouldn't be denying there's a problem. And we shouldn't be inappropriately minimizing the importance of a problem. If a problem is genuinely a problem, we shouldn't be just avoiding it. But what we can be doing is proactively coping. And now this is where we anticipate and prevent stressful situations. We anticipate things that might stress us out, and we use that knowledge to help prevent stressful situations. We use past experiences to learn from them and use them as opportunities to think about future situations that might stress us and put plans in place to reduce that stress. But of course, when we experience a stressful situation, there are other methods we can use, and one of those are breathing exercises. There are a range of breathing exercises that can reduce what's known as our acute levels of stress. If we experience a load of emails or something stressful at work, we can take a minute out and perform a simple breathing exercise like this one. And I'm going to put you in a nice treat to go through this with me. We're going to do a breathing exercise together and see how you feel. You know, comment in the chat box if it reduces your stress. But before I do that, I want you to think about this. Is breathing voluntary or involuntary? And what I mean by that, is it something that we volunteer to do or something that happens naturally by itself? Is it something that, we can choose to do or something that happens naturally by itself? Is it voluntary or involuntary? Well, it is, in fact, both. It's something that we can choose to do or something that happens naturally by itself. When we're sleeping, we're breathing. Our body is breathing. So it is, in fact, both. Now, can you name another bodily function that is both voluntary, something that we volunteer to do, and something involuntary, something that happens by itself? Now, before you guess or you think of it, it's nothing rude. It's nothing rude. Well, it is, in fact, blinking. Blinking is both voluntary, something that we can choose to do, and something that happens naturally by ourselves. But breathing exercises can have many benefits. It can promote calmness, get more oxygen into our body. It can reduce stress, strengthen the lungs, increase energy levels. And I want you to rate your tension from a 0 to 10. How are you feeling right now? How tense are you feeling right now? And after this breathing exercise, I want you to rate your tension again. And we're simply just going to breathe in for the count of 1, breathe out for the count of 1. Breathe in for the count of 2, breathe out for the count of 2. We're going to do this all the way up to 5. So sit comfortably. This is much nicer done with your eyes closed. So get comfortable. On the count of 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. 1. Breathe out. 1. Breathe in. 1, 2. Breathe out. 2, 1. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe out. 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now slowly open your eyes. Now you can go back down, but for the sake of this video, I thought I'd keep it nice and short. How do you feel after that breathing exercise? And how long did it take? Not long at all. So if we're bombarded with a stressful situation that we can afford to take a minute out, 30 seconds to perform a breathing exercise, then we can tackle whatever stressful situation it is. It doesn't get rid of the situation. That situation is still the situation, but it can calm us down to approach it with a clearer mind. Now, we can also self-evaluate when it comes to stress. What is at stake here? How can this harm me? And most importantly, what can I do about it? Now, the first time that I was delivering an online webinar to one of my clients, this was at the start of the pandemic many years ago. The first time I was about to deliver an online webinar, my internet stopped working 1 hour before I was about to deliver it. Now, I hope you can imagine this was quite a stressful situation for me. My internet stopped working and I'm about to deliver a webinar and get paid to a client of mine. So I performed the breathing exercise that we just did to calm myself down. And then I asked myself these 3 questions. What is at stake here? How can this harm me? And what can I do about it? Well, what is at stake here? I can't deliver this webinar. If I don't get my internet running, I'm not going to be able to deliver this webinar. But it's not the end of the world, really. In the grand scheme of things, it's a webinar. Hopefully the client can be understanding. I can explain to them. I can offer them a discount or something, rearrange. Hopefully we can work something out. That's what's at stake here. How can this harm me? Well, in fact, it can't harm me at all. There's no danger at all to my life whatsoever. This cannot harm me at all. I am safe and sound. And what can I do about it? Well, actually, I can get online to my internet provider, try and get this internet fixed in time, or I can try and use my mobile phone to use that as an internet connection. Now, thankfully, I was able to use my phone and hotspot my internet connection, and the session went ahead as normal and it was absolutely fine. The client had no idea that I had internet issues just half an hour prior, and everything went swimmingly. And to this day, touch wood, of course, I've never missed a session delivery. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, you'll probably enjoy the free wellbeing resources that I have to offer. Head to the link in the description box to join the free mailing list to gain resources that can help support any workplace look after the health and wellbeing of their employees. Now back to the gems in the video that you don't want to miss. To this day, I've never missed a session delivery. Always made all of my sessions. And my initial stressor wasn't necessary because it all worked out in the end, right? Initially, I was stressing, pulling my hair out. But then I managed to approach the situation with a calm mind and fix the situation. So using these 3 questions can help us change our initial perception, because remember, stress is about what we perceive. It can help to change our initial perception, reduce our stress, calm us down, and then tackle the situation. Remember, it doesn't change the situation. The situation is still there, but it can help to change our perception. Now, it's also important to be self-aware. Self-awareness can help us to reduce our stress. We can reflect on things that stress us out. Look at situations and think, what could I have done differently? What would have been different? How could I have approached that in a different way to reduce my stress? You could create a diary to find out the triggers, the things that cause you stress. If we know the things that cause us stress, we can then work towards implementing methods to reduce them. We start to learn the things that trigger us. Now, we can also use alternative coping methods, other methods to reduce our stress and create peace for ourselves, whether that's yoga, guided meditation, mindfulness, exercise, listening to music. The power of just putting on a song and listening to music can reduce our stress. Communicating with others, it's just talking, getting it off our chest. Sharing with someone else can often reduce our stress. Resting, taking a step back, and as I mentioned, keeping a stress diary to find out what triggers us. Now, although we can implement other methods like yoga or exercise or mindfulness, we need to make this a positive habit. We need to implement these habits into our day or weekly routine to help us stay consistent to reduce our stress. Because if we can create moments of peace for ourselves, we can use that peace to help keep us calm and reduce our stress. But in order to create a habit, we have to understand the habit loop, and we have to understand how to create a new habit, because healthy habits can help us to reduce our stress. And we're going to look at something called the habit loop, and this features 3 stages: the cue, the routine, and the rewards. Just get that on the screen there. Now, the cue is the thing that triggers you or prompts you to take part in the action. The routine is the habit itself, and the reward is the satisfaction that you get from that habit. Now, first, we need to identify the routine. What is the thing that you're going to implement? What is the habit that you're going to implement that will help you to reduce your stress? Is it yoga? Is it reading books? Is it running? Is it gym? Is it meditation? I don't know. You need to find what works for you and try different things. See what works for you. But once we find our routine, we experiment with the reward. What are the benefits that we get from that routine? Why am I doing it? What is the reward? How are we going to benefit from this? Well, it reduces our stress. And then the third stage is the cue. How do we create a cue to reduce our stress? What is the thing that is going to trigger us or prompt us to take action, to take part in that habit? And let me give you an example from my life. See, I like to read. Reading is something that I do in the mornings. It's a habit that helps to relax my mind, sets my day up perfectly, and it keeps me calm. And it teaches me new information. So my routine is to read. When am I going to read? Well, I'm going to read first thing in the morning. So that's what I do. Typically wake up, read for about 40 minutes, 45, depending on how my morning is. That's my routine. Now, the reward I get from that is the knowledge that I gain from the book. And I also always feel positive after I've read because I've started my day off with something productive. Now, I need a strong cue in order to help me read my book. What is going to make sure that when I wake up, I read my book and, don't just get up and look on my phone? Well, for me, that cue is having my book right next to my bed. When I wake up, my book is right next to my bed on my bedside table, which means it's the first thing I see. I wake up, my book's there. It's very easy for me to just pick it up and start reading. Now, if my phone was there, it could probably distract me. My phone isn't there. My phone isn't anywhere near me. My book is there for me to just pick up. Now, that is a strong enough cue for me to pick up and read. What is going to be a strong enough cue for you? I'll give you another example for running. I go running typically once a week. And the day before I go running, again, when I go running is typically in the morning. The day before, I put out my running stuff. This means when I wake up, I don't have to grab all of my running stuff, find my running shoes, find all my running gear, and then go for a run. That makes the process so much longer. All I have to do is wake up, my running stuff is already there ready, just need to put it on and go for the run. Having my running stuff out is a strong enough cue for me to go on that run. So what is a strong cue for you? Now, there are some great books on habit formation. The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg is a fantastic book. In fact, I'll link that in the description box. And Atomic Habits is also another fantastic book, and I will link that in the description box. There will be affiliate links to Amazon, but yeah, Atomic Habits is a much easier and nicer read. So if you want an easier read, I'd recommend Atomic Habits. If you want to dive more into the subject of habit, The Power of Habit is also a great book. So when we create our habits, there are things that we want to do to help us stick with them and implement them. Because when we have nice, healthy habits, it can help to reduce our stress. So make your habit obvious. And if you know Carby Lame, we've got Carby Lame in the background. Make your habit obvious. And to do that, make a specific plan. What is your plan? I will do this habit at this time in this location. Make your habit obvious. Make it as specific as possible. Now, there's a method called habit stacking that can help you link a new habit to an existing habit. So I want you to think about this. What is a habit? What is a habit that you do every day or almost every day? What are habits that you do every day or almost every day? Hopefully there are some obvious ones in there. I hope you brush your teeth every day, hopefully twice a day. I hope you wash every day, etc., etc. There are lots of things that all of us do every single day. But what is one thing that you do every day? Now, habit stacking is where you link something that you do every single day already with something new that you want to achieve. After current habit, I will do my new habit. So after I brush my teeth, I will do 10 press-ups. After I walk the dog, I will read a book. After I take a shower, I will do some yoga. Find what works for you. Find a habit that you do every single day and link on your new habit. Link that new habit to the habit that you do already every day. So what can you stack together? Now, we can also use visual cues to help us implement and stick with our habits. If you want to make the habit a big part of your life, make the cue a big part of your environment. Now, here's a study taken from the book Atomic Habits by a lady called Anne Thorndike. And what she wanted to do was increase the amount of water consumption in hospitals. Now, what you can see there on the left is the grey boxes. Well, on both left and right, you can see grey boxes. Now, the grey boxes are where people can buy water from in this hospital cafeteria. Now, you can see on the left side, there's only 2 boxes. So you can see there and there, only 2 boxes for water. And on the right, there's much more opportunities or places people can pick up and buy water from. There was no additional signage, just an increase in the amount of places people can buy water. They made the queue for people to buy water a bigger part of the environment. And what they found was soda sales decreased by 11.4% and water sales increased by 25.8%. Just simply by having more water visible. So if you want to implement a new habit, how can you use visual cues? If you want to drink more water, have some water with you. Keep a cup on your desk. Keep a bottle of water around you to drink more water. If you want to go for a run, like I do with my running kit, put my running stuff out, leave my running shoes there. How can you use visual cue? What cues can you leave on display? How can you rearrange your environment to make it obvious? And I want you to think about this. What cues have influenced you without you even being aware? And in fact, I want to share a story quickly here about how visual cues impacted me negatively. Now, I think it was last Christmas, my sister got me a box of Ferrero Rocher chocolates. As I mentioned earlier, I like biscuits. I also like chocolate, but I have reduced my chocolate consumption and my biscuit consumption. I don't actually eat them that often now, but I do still enjoy some from time to time. But my sister got me this box of Ferrero Rocher chocolates for Christmas, and I had it in my home office on the desk on the table in my home office. And every time I got up, I would walk along, grab some Ferrero Rochers, eat a couple, sit back down, notice them there, grab some Ferrero Rochers, eat some more. And I ended up eating about half the box in one day. And I was disgusted with myself. I said, why am I eating all these chocolates? And then I realized it's because it's on display. These chocolates are directly in my sight of vision, which means I'm going to eat them because they're just there. So what I decided to do was take them all out of the box, put them in a drawer, and close the drawer. It meant that throughout my day, I didn't even think about them because they weren't in front of me. They were no longer a visual cue. I didn't, think about them at all. So what visual cues are impacting you negatively or even positively? And in this circumstance, it then took me ages. I think it took me a couple of weeks to finish the rest of the Ferrero Rochers because I only ate them when I thought, oh, actually, I fancy some chocolate now. Then I went in the drawer and got one, rather than them just being there in front of me and eating it just for the sake of it. So think about that. Now, when it comes to the habits that you adopt to help reduce your stress, how can you make them attractive? How can you make your new habit attractive? How can you reward yourself for completing good habits? And one of the things we can do is a method called temptation bundling. And this is where you link something that you want to do with the thing that you need to do. Now, I mentioned that I exercise. I do various types of exercise. I mean, I'm a health and wellbeing professional. Of course, I have to exercise to keep up with my image. But one of the things I do is I stretch. And I like to stretch to help reduce the tension and tightness in my muscles. And I find it really beneficial for my body. But I don't actually enjoy doing the stretching. I enjoy the benefits, but the action of stretching, I can't say I love. But what I do is I link the thing that I want to do with the thing that I need to do. Let me explain. I like to watch YouTube. And in fact, so do you. You're watching me right now. I like to watch YouTube. And when I stretch, I just simply put something on YouTube so that I'm watching something while I'm stretching. I'm linking the thing that I want to do, which is watch YouTube, with the thing that I need to do, which is stretch. Now, this is one example of things that you can link together, but think about things that you can link together. Perhaps you listen to a podcast while you go to the gym or go for a jog. Perhaps you read a book while you're on the train. You need to commute to work, so why not make that commute a time where you read a book? I don't know. What things can you link together? Think about your life. How can you link these things together? Now, we can also make things attractive by surrounding yourself with like-minded people. When changing your habits means fitting in with your peers, change is attractive. When changing your habits means going against your peers, change is unattractive. If all of my friends were smokers and didn't like to exercise, and I tried to convince them to go and exercise with me, I would get some resistance. And this wouldn't be attractive, right? But if all of my friends were athletes and joggers and runners, and perhaps I went to a running club and made some friends at a running club and messaged them, hey, do you want to go for a run on the weekend? That would be attractive because they like running, I like running. If I wanted to read, I'd link up with someone else who also likes to read. And actually, just for those of you that do like to read, I mentioned I read one book a month with an accountability partner of mine, which I'll come on to accountability later. And it's called The Power of Pages. I'll link that in the description box. Those of you that want to check out some book reviews, we review one book a month and drop the gems in the book and try and get a bit of a community together to read books with us. So join us on the book review journey, but that's totally separate to my business, Loving Life. But just thought I'd mention that there. And also, if you've made it this far in the video, big up you, big up yourself, and please just press like. It doesn't take a lot to just press the like button. This is free. After all, like I said, companies pay me big bucks to deliver webinars like this, and I'm giving it away to you all today for free. And I don't know if I'll keep this video up forever because, I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But as I mentioned, back to the session, change is attractive when we surround ourselves with like-minded people. I like to read. It's more attractive for me because I've got a friend and we both read the same book. That makes it attractive for me. Now, we also want to make our habits easier. Like we mentioned earlier, when we have good habits, they can reduce our stress. So if we have good habits that are easy to implement, it can help us reduce our stress. And we often gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of effort. By nature, we want things easy. We don't want to struggle. Why would you want to struggle? So make your habits easier. So I want you to think about this. How can you make your habit as easy to adopt as possible? We want to reduce the friction of doing the habit as much as possible. As I mentioned earlier, I read in the mornings. My book's next to my desk when I wake up. If my book was on the other side of the room or on my bookshelf and I had to get up, walk over, get my book, and then start reading, that is another barrier. That is making it more difficult for me to read. Instead, because the book's right there, I just pick it up. It makes it easier for me. Just likewise, when I mentioned going for a running, if I have to go in my running drawer when I wake up and get my running clothes and find my shoes and do all of that, it makes the process that much longer. It makes it a little bit longer. It makes it slightly more difficult. Now, it might seem like something so small, but it makes it more difficult. Likewise, if you go to a gym or somewhere where you exercise, and that is an hour away and you have to travel an hour to get there, or it's inconvenient to get there, you're less likely to go. So why not try and find a gym that is convenient on your way to work, on the way home? Make it convenient, make it as easy to adopt as possible. So as I mentioned there, go to the gym that's on the way to work. If you want to eat healthy, why not prepare healthy meals on a quieter day of the week? Prepare your healthy meals so that after a long, tiring day at work, you can just get out the healthy meal and eat it. After a long, tiring day of work, if we don't have a healthy meal already prepared and we have to then go and cook that healthy meal, we're less likely to have a healthy meal. It'll be so much easier for us to get a takeaway or just shove something unhealthy in the oven or the microwave. If we plan and prepare and have those healthy meals already prepared, it makes our life much easier. So when you create habits that are easy to implement, it can help us to reduce our stress. And if we have healthy habits, it can help us with our well-being overall. So how can you make it easier? Now, I also want to talk about making it satisfying. And I want to share a story about my mum. Because when you make it a habit satisfying, it increases the odds that you'll repeat it. So how can you reward yourself for completing a habit? How can you make it satisfying? Now, my mum is learning Spanish. She's an English lady. She is learning Spanish. She has friends in Spain that she goes to visit from time to time, and she loves going there because she can practice her Spanish. And one of the ways that she's learning is by the app Duolingo. Duolingo, they're not sponsored for this. They're not sponsoring this video, but Duolingo is an app that she uses to help her learn her Spanish. Now, the app rewards her every day for completing her challenges. Now, she's on like a 400 and something day streak for learning her Spanish. And the app is making it satisfying for her. It's rewarding her for completing her daily goals. And this helps her stay on track. And she's been so consistent with learning her new language, learning this Spanish, to help her enjoy it. And actually, I learned some Spanish for a video of mine. Here it is. Por favor, dale-me guste subscribe. And I think it means, please like and subscribe. So as I mentioned earlier, please like and subscribe. But we can use things like habit trackers, Fitbits, calendar tick boxes, phone apps. There are lots of ways that we can make our habits satisfying. make it satisfying, find a way to do that is relevant for you. Now, I also want to come on to a reality check, because in order to achieve, you must take action. You have to take action, because you're not going to reduce your stress just by staying, exactly where you are. You need to implement things that are going to help you reduce your stress and calm your mind, create peace for you, and implement these habits that are relevant for you. But we have bad days. Some days we miss. Some days we have bad days and we can't do the habit that we want to do. And that's okay. One bad day will not define you. One bad day isn't the end of the world. Dust yourself off and go again the next day, or the next time that you're supposed to go again with that habit. And you can use a method called the 2-time rule. And this is a method where you ensure that you never miss the habit that you want to achieve more than twice. Okay, you didn't go today, put it down to a bad day. But if you're supposed to go tomorrow, dust yourself off and make every effort to go again tomorrow. When we miss once, okay, put it down to a bad day. If we miss twice, it can then spiral out of control and we end up not taking part in the habit. And then our stress spirals back again because we're not doing the things that create peace for ourselves. And we can also ask ourselves, does this align with the person I want to be? When you decide whether you're going to read that book, whether you're going to go for that jog, whether you're going to create that healthy meal, ask yourself, does this align with the person I want to be? And if it says yes, going for that run does align with the person I want to be, well, you better go on that run. Or if you're reading a book, does reading a book align with the person I want to be? Yeah, okay, pick up the book and read it. Now, there's a slide that I missed out for some reason, and it's on accountability. And I'll insert that slide actually. Accountability is my favorite because I've seen it work positively both for me, the people in my life, people close with me, the clients I've worked with, and just people in general. Accountability is one of the things that have helped me actually progress my business to the level to where I am today. It's helped me develop positive habits because of accountability. And it's a fantastic method to help us stay consistent and on track. Now, accountability is simply partnering up with someone else or a partner or a coach or a mentor to help you stay on track. And there's a method that I use, call it the £10 method or the £5 method. And it doesn't really matter the financial amount. It matters about the consequence. Now think about this. When you were younger, did you perhaps touch a hot stove or a hot iron and burn your hand, right? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But when you do that, you burned your hand. Are you going to do that again? Very unlikely. It's very unlikely that you're going to go and touch a hot stove again because you know that if you touch that hot stove, you're going to burn your hand. That is a direct consequence for touching a hot stove. Now, I use the £5 or £10 method to help me achieve the things that I want to achieve. And I've used it to help others achieve the things that they want to achieve. My sister wanted to exercise. She wanted to get fitter and wanted to exercise. So I've said to her, why don't we just get started with something that we can do Monday to Friday, nice and simple, and keep each other accountable. I'll help keep you accountable for this action. And we decided that we're going to do 50 squats Monday to Friday Monday to Friday every day. And when we've done our 50 squats, we're going to message the other person to say that we've done our 50 squats. And if we don't message to say that we've done our 50 squats, we have to transfer the other person £5. And what that means is that there's a direct consequence for not doing the squats. If I don't do my squats, and if I don't message her that I've done my squats, I have to pay £5. Now, what would I rather do? Pay £5 or do 50 squats? I'd much rather do 50 squats then pay £5. And same with my sister. And she's been so consistent with this. Occasionally, she's missed. That's okay. She's paid the fine. Yes, I keep her accountable and use that £5. But of course, that's her getting burnt. And it means that she doesn't miss the next day. It means that she stays consistent. And this has been a fantastic method for both her and I to help keep us accountable. And if you want to go one stage further, you can use a habit contract. Use a habit contract. Create a direct contract with consequences for you not completing the habits that you say that you want to achieve and complete, because that will help you stay consistent with the habits that you want to implement that can help you reduce your stress, create peace for you, help you feel happier, healthier, and live life better. So let's just go over and remind ourselves. Stress is not what happens to you. Stress is how you think and how you feel about what happens to you. And we know this because what I find stressful might not be stressful to you, and what you find stressful might not be stressful to me. We can perform simple breathing exercises to calm ourselves down in the moment and then tackle whatever it is that we need to tackle. We can self-evaluate by asking ourselves these 3 questions to help us change our initial perception, help us change what we initially think, what is at stake here, how can this harm me, and what can I do about it? And we can be self-aware, reflect on past situations. Use past situations as learning experiences to help prevent future stressful situations. And we can create new habits using the habit loop, the cue, the routine, the reward, using all the methods we spoke about, creating a specific plan, using habit stacking, linking your new habit with something you already do, using all the methods we spoke about. Go back in the video and watch specific parts if you need reminders. And remember, one bad day will not define you. One bad day will not define you. Thanks for watching. And if your workplace want to see how we can work together to support the health and well-being of your workforce, visit the website and get in contact. But why not check out this video and see how this CEO has created the happiest workforce?